Real broker splits, let's talk about them. When I was first considering a move to Real Broker, me and my whole team, I watched videos just like this, but I was still left with quite a few questions at the end of them. So now I'm making this video, and I'm not just gonna tell you, I'm gonna show you very thoroughly how it all works. And this should be, by the time I'm done, should be the best video on the internet about this question. How's it going, y'all? My name is Jesse Lynch. I run multiple real estate teams around the United States, and frankly, I'm only interested in working with agents who want to do things differently. So if that's you, come hang out for a while, hit the subscribe button, and let's get into it. When you join Real Broker, there are a few different ways you can join, and the numbers change accordingly as it pertains to splits. So I'm gonna break it down in 3 different sections. A solo agent or an individual agent, a team member, so you have a team leader, and then a team leader. Those numbers are all gonna be pretty different based on the same exact transaction. So we're gonna start with solo agent, and for all of these, I'm going to say that the purchase price is $400,000. Fair warning, I have naturally pretty terrible handwriting, so I might be going slow to keep it somewhat legible. Also, for the sake of as simple of math as possible, we're saying 400,000. I'm also gonna say that there's a 3% commission across the board on all of these. Obviously, as we all know, that number thoroughly negotiable, completely up for negotiation. And a 3% commission on a $400,000 transaction is $12,000. Again, gotta slow down. Gonna start getting sloppy if I don't slow down. $12,000, okay? That's what would be considered your GCI or your gross commission income. And we're gonna talk about what happens to that money after it comes into the brokerage. Now, as a solo agent, you're not gonna have any team split. So we'll talk about that if you're a team agent after this, but for this, basically your only split is with the brokerage. But the split numbers, the percentage is totally consistent across the board, regardless of how you join. What changes is the cap, and some of the other layouts of this stuff as well. But the big thing that changes is the cap. That split is gonna be 85-15 or 85% and 15%, and 15% of it is going to go to Real Broker. So we're saying, here's that 15%, and that's going to Real Broker. It's red because you're losing it. And on this transaction, that is going to be $1,800. And then your 85% is going to kind of kick through down to you. And that 85% is going to be a total of $10,200, which again is 85%. So basically, $1,800 is gonna go to Real Broker. And the cap for an individual agent is $12,000. And honestly, that's such a good cap compared to how much commissions I paid into other brokerages, or another brokerage that was a 100% brokerage. And so if you did this transaction multiple times, basically what you would find is somewhere in the 7th transaction, this number would meet that cap. So after 7 transactions, you cap, and then this goes away completely, and you only have the $12,000 going straight down here. But a few nuances to talk about here is, in the first 3 transactions, you're contributing toward your annual brokerage fee, and the total is $750, and that happens every single year. So out of the first 3 transactions, they're gonna take $250, which is pretty nice. The good thing is, if you don't do any transactions, you're not paying that fee. That's nice. Hopefully you're doing transactions. If you only do 2 transactions, I believe you only pay $500. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's true. So for transactions 1 through 3, you're gonna see a slight hit here, and then basically that net or that into your pocket number is going to be $9,950. But keep in mind, you cap at transaction 7 if you were doing this transaction over and over again. So 4 through 7, this goes away, and then you're actually right back to $10,200. But then during transaction number 7, that is when you cap. So I'm gonna basically just draw, boom, that's a cap, baby. That's a good feeling. Once you're past that, these numbers change quite a bit. So again, once you cap, you're not paying 15. So we're going back to this $12,000 as sort of your gross commission. And then what happens with that after you have capped during transaction 7. Once you cap, your take home is much, much closer to this gross commission in a pretty cool way. And honestly, the fees after cap are pretty minimal. So you're going to be doing a $285 transaction fee. That's going to go to Real Broker. And then there's also going to be a $30. Oh, I hate that I did that. I guess that's a dollar sign that I did wrong. Then you're going to have a $30 what's called a BOP fee or a BEOP, which basically means brokers, errors, and omissions, and processing fee. And that fee you will pay in perpetuity once you are above your cap and even once you hit something called Elite Agent. And again, this is a transaction fee. So we'll just put that here so you can remember what we're talking about. So basically these total $315. So you subtract that from your gross commission of $12,000 and you get a total of $11,685. And that is your take home once you cap. That's a really, really good number. Again, I've been at 100% brokerages where at first you're not paying into this cap, and then but you're paying a higher chunk every single transaction. So if you intend to do any kind of volume, if your goal is to do any kind of volume, just the cap alone and the splits alone, but it's pretty crazy that you get such a huge portion of the gross commission as a solo agent. But really, team agent and team member, this stuff carries through. We'll talk about that in a second, but real quick, I want to talk about this transaction fee. So this $285 transaction fee. There's another thing within Real Broker that I maybe sort of skimmed over, which is known as Elite Agent. And it's a pretty cool thing to reach. Reaching cap feels really cool. Reaching elite also feels pretty nuts. And there's some financial benefits. You also get free stock. You actually get your entire cap back in stock, which is crazy. And then actually this transaction fee reduces beyond that. But you have to pay in $6,000 of transaction fees to reach Elite Agent. And basically what that means, since that number doesn't change regardless of how much your median sale price is or anything like that, that number doesn't change. So you have to not only sell, you can't just sell like 3 $10 million properties. You need to put in enough of those to where you're doing enough volume in total transactions to where you can reach Elite Agent. So $285 and you got to reach 6K. It's basically 21 or 22 transactions to where now you've reached this Elite Agent, and you get quite a few cool benefits like the gifted stock, but then also you can teach within Real University, and yeah, there's some very cool things. You get recognized, whatever, that's all fun stuff. I'll do a whole video on Elite Agent and what it takes to reach Elite Agent and sort of what you get out of it, what the benefits are, but a couple thoughts. By the time you reach Elite Agent, that means you've capped and then you've done 21, 22 transactions, which means that this number, you're at 7 transactions to cap plus 22, that's 29 transactions, and you will have reached Elite Agent. Again, assuming it's 400K on each one. And by the time you've hit Elite Agent, you've paid in $12,000 in your cap, and now you've paid in $6,000 in transaction fees. That's a total of $18,000. But when you hit Elite Agent, they give you 12K in stocks, so basically they give you the huge majority of that back. And you also get stock bonuses just for capping. So by the time you're at the Elite Agent mark, just in stocks, it's almost just like, okay, I've agreed to pay in this much money into stocks until I got to Elite Agent. And yeah, it's all very, very cool. And this whole layout will look identical if you are a team leader and you have your own client and there's no sort of referral or anything, going to another agent on your team or anything like that. If you're a team leader taking your own client where you're getting all the commission, then this will look fundamentally identical. But next I want to talk through what it looks like if you're a team member where you not only have the split with Real Broker, you have a split with your team leader. So let's flip this over, get a new one going. So now we are talking team member, and yeah, these are going to be, they're going to shake out quite a bit different than the solo agent. That's probably obvious, but I just wished that somebody would have broken this down like this when I was joining, because as a team leader, I had not only my own commissions and my own income to consider, but I had the income of the members of my team to consider, and I want them all to do well. That's why I started a team. So yeah, definitely those were things that I had to be keeping in mind. So again, we're talking team member, and we're still sticking with that $400,000 sale price on the home, and we're going to stick with that 3%, although they are fully negotiable, as we all know. So 3% commission on that, and again, that's going to be that $12,000 in gross commission, basically being paid to the brokerage. And then let's talk about how that's going to divvy out. I think the biggest way that this changes from team member to solo agent, and one of the biggest questions that I had is, at which point does the split with the team occur? Is that after the 85-15 or before? Does it even matter? I don't know, I'm not a mathematician. But basically, if this was a team member on my team and they had brought in their own client, it wasn't a client that I provided them, then the split would be 70-30 on that. So we're saying 30% to the team leader, and then we're saying 70% to the agent here. So if that's you, that's you. So this 30% to the team leader, that's going to be $3,600, pardon my horrendous handwriting. And then this is going to be a total of $8,400, sorry. Hunch just gets me sometimes, Okay. Okay. For the next set, when I talk team lead, because the individual agent and the team leader situation is almost identical, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what happens to the 30% if a team member of yours gets a lead. How does that shake out as it pertains to splits or anything like that? So directly from this $12,000, the split with the team leader occurs. So 30% goes to team lead, 70% goes to you. And the team leader's commission, they have their own split to consider, and so this just goes there, and then that's in a whole new category. This is what we're talking about at this point, this $8,400. What happens to that? And pretty simply, the split occurs again. So here you're going to have your 15% to your Real Broker split, and that's going to be a total of $1,260. So $1,260. And then you've got your 85 over here going to you of that, and that's going to be $7,140. So more or less the $7,140 is your net commission. But like you remember probably from the first section, transactions 1 through 3 are going to be subject to a $250 brokerage fee. Again, that's an annual brokerage fee. So every year the split will shake out pretty much the same if you kept doing the same exact things. So the $250 subtracted from there, that's going to bring your net on the first 3 to $6,890. So you would think that, okay, this is a much smaller commission. You're sending out a smaller amount to the brokerage. It's going to take me longer to cap. Actually, as a team member, your cap is half the cap of an individual agent or a team leader. So this $12,060 number that is contributed toward your cap, and the cap is only a $6,000 cap, which becomes very helpful in the next transactions. And you'll see there were 7 transactions last time to cap. Now it's transaction 4 through 5. and those are going to be back to this 7,140 number. And so 5 transactions in, as a team member, at that point, you cap. Capping is a good feeling. So then what that does is that gets rid of any of this 15% split with the brokerage, but this 70-30 split with your team leader likely will still occur. That, again, is negotiable between you and the team leader. With me and my team, the 70-30 split happens indefinitely, and basically they can cap as far as it pertains to the brokerage. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring this $8,400 number down. And that is, sort of your net commission, but also not quite your take home. And we'll arrive on the true net commission. This is going to be identical to a solo agent, which is once you've capped, you're paying in a $285 transaction fee. I'll just say TF for short. And then you're going to have that $30 BOP, BEOP, whatever you want to call it. And I did just realize that the stick is in the shot, so that's annoying. Pretend that didn't happen. I'm running out of room here a little bit, so I'm going to put this over here. But basically, if you subtract 315 from 840, the math pans out to $8,085, and that is your take home once you've capped. Remember, these are your take homes during your first 5 transactions before you've capped, and this $8,085 is your take home after you've capped as a team member with the splits that have laid out. One exception to the team member situation that is very different from the individual agent is you can't hit elite agent. The $6,000 cap is something that they've set up basically to say, like, hey, we'll make this easier on you, but then the benefits that come with an independent agent or a solo agent are basically a lead agent, can't be reached as a team member. Now, you can be on a team. I have agents on my team who are individual agents or solo agents who have the $12,000 cap because they are hoping that they can hit a lead agent and get the benefits thereof. If you think you can cap and then hit a lead agent as a team member, well, then it could be very well worth doing a $12,000 cap instead of a $6,000, because now you get that all back in stocks. But this isn't financial advice, and we're going to move on to basically what does this look like if you are the team leader. So if you are a team leader, congratulations. It's a pretty cool feeling to be a team leader. And yeah, if maybe you're a solo agent and your goal is to move to Real Broker and become a team leader, then cool. This will be very important for you to understand how that all shakes out. Again, if you're just taking your own client, it's identical to the solo agent thing that we talked about before. And this will be if you're basically getting a cut of a team member's split, then how does that shake out? So again, we got the $4,000 purchase price on the home. And we have the highly negotiable 3% that we're deciding on for easy math, and that's a $12,000 gross commission for this particular transaction. And now from that, you're going to have a split, right? 30% is going to go to you, and 70% is going to go to the agent, the team member. At least that's how I have my split set up for clients that they have brought in, and then I've obviously tried to help facilitate, and that's why the 30% is in there. So this is the $8,400 that goes to the agent. That's gone. Again, this whole thing, that's their cap. This is fundamentally in the air. It's not your concern anymore at this point. And this 30%, that's going to be a $3,600 commission. And now let's say everything you do is team, and everything you do is this setup. You're not doing any sort of more solo agent transactions. Everything comes in this way. So you're going to try to hit cap strictly off of these kind of transactions. Basically, we have this $3,600, and if this was your first transaction or whatever, 85% of that is going to go to you, and 15% is going to go to Real Broker. So your contribution to your cap on this, which by the way is a $12,000 cap, So your contribution, so the contribution to your cap on this is going to be $540. And remember, for a team leader, your cap is $12,000. So it would take a while to cap on these transactions. And so your sort of net or your pre-fee take home here is going to be $3,060. And all the fees that have applied in the previous sections are going to apply here. So you're going to have transactions 1 through 3 are going to be subject to that $250 brokerage fee. And then your total take home on transactions 1 through 3 would be $2,810. And then for transactions 4 through 23, it would take 23 of these transactions to cap at a $12,000 cap. So 4 through 23, that take home is going to be that 3,060 number from before. But after 23 transactions of these, you will have capped. Capping's a good feeling. So once you cap, this 85-15 split goes away, and now you're back to $3,600 for this transaction. And then we have the transaction fee and the BOP fee, so $285. I messed up here again, so that's going to be another dollar sign. So $285 transaction fee here, and then also the $30. I should probably do two dollar signs there as well, just for consistency. That's the BOP. There you go. So again, as a team leader, it's going to be $315 subtracted from this more net number of $3,600, and that's basically going to be a take home of $3,285. Boom. That's your take home from a transaction just like this. And again, for transactions 1 through 23, there is the take home there. As a team leader, you can hit elite, and all of these can contribute toward the elite agent. But if you are, again, not doing any transactions of your own and it's only breaking down like this, it takes 23 transactions just to cap, and then you'd have to do another 22 transactions to hit elite agent. So that's a total of 55 of these transactions to hit elite, which I guess is attainable. But it would just take a little bit longer to reach this sort of sought after elite agent. Boy, do I hope that made sense, because that took me a long time to do. But if you have any questions, reach out to me. I would love to chat. You can reach out, email me at jesse@tothetwincities.com. And yeah, or there's a link in the description to where you can just set up an appointment with me via Calendly if you want to talk about joining Real Broker or joining my team in the Twin Cities or any of the other teams, or even starting another team, expansion pack style. Okay, see you in the next one.